Look at that. Look at that, Trigger. We have audio this time. Now, did I nail the countdown? No, I didn't. Did it start looping over? Yes, it did. Is the internet connection kind of bad today? Yes, it is. But as the viewers know, we never claimed that this was a professional thing. So why start it
professional?
Well, I mean, we didn't have audio on the first day for the recording. So welcome to day 3, CERAWeek. Thanks for coming back, Trigva. Real quick update for the people watching, because I know that you care about this, folks. What we have been referencing as the fake tree, I learned today, is not fake. And the reason I learned it's not fake is because they're not watering it enough. And a bunch of dead leaves fell this morning when someone bumped into it. Like it just molted or whatever. It was like a molting bird, and it just dropped leaves. So, update for the folks watching: it is not fake. We are no longer in front of the fake fern. We are in front of the real fern, I guess. So that's the new subtitle of the show. But yeah, how's it going? How's CERAWeek?
Been great so far. Of course, we've been challenged a little bit with the way that world.
Yeah.
Some people couldn't make it.
Quite a few, actually, right? And the agenda's kind of getting slashed. Not necessarily talking sessions, but all the things around the show and times to meet people and stuff. That's all getting slashed because so many people aren't here.
Yeah, and people are discussing options to get back out, given the lines that we've had. So,
yes. Yes.
And an interesting one.
I have a secret that I will not share live because I would like my way to still work. But if you have a question, come see me at CERAWeek offline, and I will tell you the secret on how to fly out of Houston on commercial without having to deal with the 5-hour lines. John was on yesterday, and he sent me an email. There are private jet companies that are doing like cold outreach to people they know are in Houston. So they're trying to sell empty seats on private jets to get people out so they don't have to go through TSA. Honestly, smart sales tactic. Know where your customer is. They have a need. You have a solution. That is cold outreach.
I'm glad I have gas in my car and I can drive back to Austin. So,
and I don't have the budget for a private jet, so I didn't get an email, and that's because they know their customer. So you've been here all week. You got to talk to a bunch of customers. We talked about, there is a different feel here a little bit. I wanted to discuss a little bit of breaking news that happened late yesterday, which is the CEO of Total Energies went on CNBC, which in America is a pretty well-known financial TV show. And they took a quote of his and, made the headlines because he said, in his opinion, there had never been the margins that we see right now on refineries, and that it was really pushing the end consumer. Curious if that's that perspective he has that he's seen in the market. Are you seeing that come through in conversations that you're having, or is that something that everyone kind of acknowledges but then says, hey, we got to get on with it anyway?
I think it's if you look at the industry, and especially that industry in general, you've had these changes. You've had different prices. You've had different situation that kind of made the whole supply chain kind of act differently.
Yep.
I think it's fundamentally it just highlights the fact that you need to be ready when those opportunities are there.
Yep.
Meaning that you have to kind of prepare yourself for how are you digitally going to be ready to leverage, to take advantage of those opportunities, and combining that with what the development scene around AI means that you can make these changes quickly, but you need to be prepared. If you're not prepared, you're losing on some of those that are agile and more prepared for it.
Yeah, because right, I mean, this is going on now. It's quite wild, but to your point, I can joke as a millennial, right? One of the running jokes of the millennials is that we're once again living through a once in a lifetime situation. And certainly the energy industry in the past, let's call it 20 to 30 years, it's just been disruption after disruption. It's almost just business as usual, not in that they don't have to adapt and everything, but like you said, the adaption is business as usual. And now we have these new tools that helps us, adapt differently, adapt faster, and those who can adapt faster will win over those who maybe can't, right? So let me ask then, kind of in that vein, for what you said there, is the current situation in disruption, the war in the Middle East, is that muddying the AI business story for the folks you're talking to, or is it actually making it more clear to them that, like, no, the ROI is there and I need to go do that?
So, and we had a little chat about this without sound.
Without sound, yes, and we have it now. I even confirmed it.
But so I think that some of these discussions we're having this year is much more advanced.
Yeah.
We see that people have tried AI on more the low-hanging fruit. So kind of how do you make sure you get write your emails better, and how do you research better?
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see that how can you leverage that more into impacting the operations of your people that are out in the field, actually making things work, or fixing things that are broken. And that becomes a whole different level of impacted organization. It impacts your safety. It impacts your ability to work work efficiently. And so those discussions is starting to happening today.
Yeah.
And I think the innovation that Cognite do with Microsoft and with other parties like NVIDIA, and it's kind of pushing those envelopes further and further towards being reality and day-to-day kind of tools that is available at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's part of it, right? The reasonable price and the scale, right? I mean, that's been something that was elusive. And, this industry, and we talked a lot about this yesterday, but I can't talk about it enough. There's this feel in the air that we're finally breaking out of the POC cycle, right? That these technological opportunities, digital transformation, whatever you want to call it, right, continually has suffered the POC problem. And now we're finally able to say, well, maybe this is going to scale. And when I say maybe, we're seeing it scale in some places, right? But everybody else is trying to say, well, wait a second, maybe this one scales.
And you mentioned Total earlier, and I think that as one of our customers have really realized exactly what you're saying, is that they're looking at not scaling in years, but scaling in days and months. And that means that investments in technologies like Cognite is driving the ability to kind of move faster.
Yeah.
And move faster in a whole holistic view. So you're not, as you alluded to, doing one use case for one particular, leveraging AI in one particular situation is okay. But if you do that 30, 50, 40, 50 times, the value of kind of your investment is dramatically improved. And I think that's what we're starting to see, that customers realizing that data foundation, that understanding of relationships and context of data together is becoming extremely important to get the value out of your investment in AI.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing that I love about customers like Total is, and working with companies like Cognite, is first off the acknowledgement that they can do it without a partner like Microsoft or Cognite or Google or AWS or NVIDIA. They hire some of the most brilliant people in the world. They're capable of doing it. It's how fast and how wide can they do it. And that's where, folks like Cognite with their solution. That's where hyperscalers like Microsoft, the hardware providers and model providers like NVIDIA, that's where they come in and just take that up another level.
Yeah, and not afraid of doing innovation, doing and pushing that kind of what is the future look like, and are we adding kind of capabilities that you even didn't think about before? And I think that being part of that is super exciting, and that's kind of why, as my job as kind of head of partnership and alliances, is really being able to work together with some of these industry thought leaders and co-innovate and do things together that hopefully at the end of the day is driving more value for our customers. And that's really exciting. That's really exciting.
You know, you say that, and I won't ask for an answer, but I do have just the biggest urge. I got to be honest with you. I have the urge the entire time so far to say which partner is your favorite. I won't make you answer it, but it is interesting the amount of partners that are here that Cognite is working with, but not just that Cognite's working with, even just the ecosystem at large, right? It's not dominated by one name or the other. And I think that I'd love to get your perspective on that, right? Is you know, some industries you see dominated by certain names. So I'll use a completely different industry. You go into industrial robotics, not the new kind of robotics, but you go into the big robots that make cars, and it's dominated. You go to a show, there's three big names, right? It's Fanuc, it's Yaskawa, it's KUKA, right? And they dominate. And sure, there's lots of other players, but like you go into a show, huge, you know, everyone else. You don't see that here. Here, it's huge names that change all of our lives. Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, but they're not, it's not like there's one dominating over the other or something like that. Is it because energy is asking for a whole of industry answer? Is it like, what's driving that diversification, do you think?
So that's complicated question to answer.
Explain all of economics.
I think it's a combination of how do we get there? There's a lot of especially in the energy space, is that you have a lot of suppliers of equipment to the industry, and all of them provide a set of insights into kind of how that equipment operates.
Okay.
And given that you operate in different environments, some is offshore, some is onshore, some is refining, some is pipeline, you have a lot of different variations of what that whole ecosystem. And I think that one of our customers, Maritime Petroleum, basically said that I want you as our partner communities to kind of come to me with how you can collaborate. And that's a new one that I see starting to become more and more. You say Aker BP is really going into alliances, really kind of creating these deep relationships where the trust is more than transactional.
Yeah.
The trust is more, how do you make sure that my assets is operating under certain conditions. And that's kind of the trust relationship. So I think that partnerships and alliances is changing a little bit. It's not less and less transactional, and more how do we integrate all of this into our operation? And again, good for Cognite is that means, how do we share data?
Yeah.
How do we make that data available for all of these partnerships?
Yep.
But it's still, you can't share IP secrets. So the whole kind of data sharing, data platform, data technologies gives additional meaning. And I think that's exciting, because then you start getting alliances that are much stronger, that is all wanting to innovate and to find creative ways to drive even more value for our customers at the end of the day.
Awesome.
Very exciting.
Awesome. Do me a favor. You got to hold it a little close. There you go. Yeah. Like a good YouTuber. So let's go on that path a little bit, right? And first off, what's interesting of what you're talking about there, as those deep alliances are forming, I think a big change that goes along with that is the understanding of the mutual achievement of things, right? I think the let's jokingly call it the traditional vendor, right, supplier relationship, as you said, is breaking down. But not only is that companies like Cognite and the hyperscalers deeply caring about integrating, working to achieve operational outcomes for their customers, but it's also the customers understanding that they have a role to play too, right? That they are the equal partner there. It's you're right, it is changing, right? It's not just the supplier side that's changing, right? It's also the user side that's changing. So let me kind of moving along that line, right? Yesterday on the bridge stage here at CERAWeek, Microsoft was talking about how they think about solutions as quality of decision and speed to decision. And they look at it as a balance between the two, and that sometimes it gets unbalanced and that's when things don't deliver the way they think they should. Are you seeing, when you talk to customers, are they already there thinking that way, or are we is the industry still having to educate the energy end user that no, it's not just speed to answer, or no, it's not just quality of answer, because if it's it takes 6 years but you get the bestest answer, it doesn't do you a lot of good.
So I think I would caution that statement a little bit by saying that this industry is all about safety. And there is nothing that needs to be quick if it jeopardizes safety. So I think it's important to balance that with, I need to know that when I'm making decisions, quick or slow, that I'm making that decision with very validated, qualified, secure, trustworthy data.
No room for hallucination.
Exactly. So if we can do that in a more, and leveraging AI and insights into your operation that you might not have as an individual without doing a lot of research, great.
Cool.
But it has to be founded always, especially in this industry, in that I need to know that I'm making decisions that are based on quality and safe decisions. So I just want to caution that a little bit with speed. Is define what speed is, as speed or quick is good, but it just have to be preferenced by it needs to be secure and quality and trusted.
So it's an interesting, right? So what you're saying is balance is a word you could use, but maybe a more clear way to say that is it is quality of decision at speed. And that priority does need to weigh there, and that makes sense, right? As we talked about in the first one, where it is an industry. There are very few industries out there. Lots of them will claim it. There are very few that are. Energy is a zero fail industry. It's like pharmaceuticals, life science. It's like aerospace, where yes, accidents happen, but they are so rare that they stand out, right? Because it has to be run as a zero fail operation, and it has to be run as an always on operation.
And that it kind of comes a little bit back to, and I've always admired kind of what they're doing at RKBP around these alliances, because it comes back to that point. You have a partner that you trust, so you don't have, if you do everything transactional, the quality piece and the security piece or safety piece comes up each time. So I think it adds to that. You trust the data that you're getting, you're trusting the decisions that are being made, but it also lowered the threshold for you, or the time that it takes for you to make a decision, because you made some of those based on the trust that you have in the alliance already.
So
as an example,
let me, because what you said there is actually really powerful, right? To get that speed, part of it is enabled by the new technologies coming out. To get that speed, part of that is, at Cognite, we would argue part of that is built on the data foundation that we provide. But on top of that, you could have all of that. But if you as a energy company are not building long-term trust-based alliances with your digital partners or digital suppliers, whichever word you want to use, and you should change it to partners, right? In not just name, but in action. What you're saying is, without that, you will never crank up that speed like you could. Maybe you will get faster. Maybe the technology alone will give you some of that raw horsepower. But to actually get that speed that Microsoft was talking about, you need to build these alliances.
And that goes with us and Microsoft as well. I mean, the more we trust each other, and the more we trust that we can get the capacity we need from Microsoft, and we get the capabilities, the easier our innovation and our partnership can work as well. So if you transfer that from the energy space, it's very similar to kind of how we operate and need to operate.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's. You've talked to a lot of customers. You've talked to a lot of partners of Cognite. You've talked to a lot of other technology providers. What's the conversation or presentation that will stick with you leaving CERAWeek?
So,
not just the purple light, which is, by the way, if you're not here, it's everywhere, which is great because Shift Change brand is purple. So did I call ahead? No. Did they make it purple anyway? Yes. So outside the purple lighting that is everywhere.
I think that the repeating thing that I'm hearing is that no one believes the shift and the speed of innovation that are happening around AI.
Okay.
So I think that everyone is amazed how that what innovation we've seen from kind of going from being an available thing that no one really knew how to do to being very mature and integrated into your operations as quickly as it is amazing, but also scary. And I think a little bit of that fear of missing out is kind of what people are left with. Are we doing everything we can? Have we looked at every opportunity to and should we do something else? Can we give some insight into what else could we do? And those are some of the very interesting discussions, but at the same time, I don't think you can kind of think about what you need to do in 5 years. You need to kind of focus on what can I do today.
Yep.
Because that's kind of going to shape kind of what you can do in the future. So it's I think everyone is just realizing that this is a pace and a muscle that is coming to us as organizations, and you will be left behind if you're not grabbing onto it and saying, what can this actually do for me? Because there will be others that take that advantage of quantum stepping or quantum moving forward that takes others decades to develop. So you have to be careful. You have to follow up, and you have to be willing to make some investments in getting prepared. We started the discussion about the changes that happens in oil prices, and if you're not prepared, you can't take those advantages. And that's I think that's kind of a lot of what the conversation we're having. What are we missing out on, and how do we get prepared for leveraging it?
They have a fear of missing out, but they have a fear of doing it, right? And so it's how do you break through that? And it goes back to those deep alliances you talked about, not just in suppliers, but between suppliers and end users, breaking through that. So I appreciate you being here. By the way, apparently Van Jones is going to be speaking
Wow.
right over here. With the big screen. For those who've been watching, know we have a big screen. Apparently, Van Jones is going to be presenting right after shift change here at CERAWeek. So we will. Who knew? Who knew? Not I, nor was it on the agenda. But we will bring you, as always, if there's any headlines, we'll bring it to you. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw. Yesterday, the screen was quite distracting because. My friend John, who was on, kept showing up on the screen, but he didn't know he was going to be on the screen from the Cognite booth. And so as I'm talking to John, I see John right there as well. It was very funny. Okay, before I let you go, quick rapid fire. You have been all over the place, right? Especially as we talked about on Monday, the NVIDIA event last week. You're always going and seeing partners. I've been asking this because a lot of people I've had on travel all the time. I'd love to know, what's your travel go-to thing? Are you a book reader? Are you a Netflix download and watch movie person? Are you John told me he just sleeps, which I was like, I wish I could just sleep. Like, what's your go-to I'm on a plane thing?
I'm a Netflix or whatever.
Okay, downloading and binging.
Because the day is full with decision and meetings, and just kind of being able to, and it doesn't have to be very intelligent shows.
Yes.
Just kind of brain to think about something else.
Yes, Love is Blind all the time on the plane. Yes.
And if I have chance at home to relax, then I play golf. That's
nice.
Similar kind of brain dumping exercise I do.
Nice. Yeah. Golf is something I am no good at, so I'm glad you're good at it. Trigva, I really appreciate you coming back.
I didn't say I was good at it, but.
Well, I'm going to assume you're good at for you. We will start a rumor that Trigva is good at golf. Yeah. And that'll work. So I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate that we have audio this time. Yeah. Giving us the second chance is awesome. Thanks for sharing your perspectives. You know, it is actually quite important, I think, that the viewers and companies start thinking about those alliances like you proposed, because they are going to miss out. And that it really feels like one of those moments that if you miss out, that's some things you can miss out and survive. This doesn't feel like something you can miss out and survive on. So I really appreciate that insight. Have a wonderful rest of your CERAWeek, my friend.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to have Linda. We have a great conversation. Linda's hanging out right by the Alive tree. And so give us about 30 seconds, viewers. We'll get everything switched out, and we'll be right back.
Thank you so much. See you.
It was that quick. See, we're getting good at this transition thing. And for those who watched the first episode, and especially the replay, I have to keep making fun of it because I don't know if you saw, I didn't record the audio, which means
you
if you didn't catch it live, it was gone. And you know,
so you couldn't have any virals.
No, there was no viral. Okay. The viral was that I couldn't viral, I guess. What might go viral today, and I didn't want Trigva's gone. Okay. For about the first 3 minutes, I accidentally left the intro music running. It is off now. But
well, I hope that wasn't the most important question.
It was not. No. Okay. So
wait. I got a fun fact for you.
What is it?
Because you wanted to know about purple.
Yes.
So
why is it purple?
Of course, I pulled up Gemini, right? Because that's what everybody does now. Gemini, ChatGPT, all that stuff.
Google partner of Cognite.
There you go. So it balances the stimulation of red to the calmness of blue to create creativity and imagination.
Is that the official reason they picked purple, or is that just Gemini had to make something for us to feel good about it?
It's an absolutely great comment for marketing.
It is. It is.
Marketing. They probably put a lot of money in that.
Shout out to all the marketers who thought deeply about that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
I think that's interesting, and I know I'm hijacking a bit, but
go for it.
If you talk about CERAWeek, it is creativity. It is innovation. It is, what we're doing in the world and technology. So I just thought, maybe it is it.
That works. By the way, you'll have to forgive us because we can now hear, as happens here on Shift Change, we're joining you from the floor.
Yep.
So that means CERAWeek continues on around us. And that means that sometimes the amphitheater kicks up. And the role of cities and regions in workforce innovation. I think they spent all their marketing budget on figuring out the color and not on the names of the sessions.
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
That is. So, Linda, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? I would say you need no introduction, but what do you do? What's life been like? Explain Linda to the world.
Goodness. Hi, I'm Linda Addison. I currently am an oil and gas executive. Currently have been, yeah. I definitely have seen my share. So I work for Cognite. I run the commercial for the Americas and all things energy and mining.
Yep.
It's a great experience. It's such a fast-paced industry right now. If we talk about technology and people, and where they're moving in innovation, I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, cool. And we're in Texas, so this is my first rodeo. Coming to CERAWeek, but it's not your first rodeo here at CERAWeek. I think part of it is the obvious, right? It feels different because I'm estimating here, but it sure feels like 30%, 20% of folks attending aren't here because of the war. How does this CERAWeek feel different to you? Is it mainly dominated by that? Are there other things? What's the vibe check for you?
I wouldn't say that it's dominated by our missing colleagues, right? Who are very, very important into this industry and this conversation, and are at a lot of times the forefront of technology when we talk about oil and gas. I would say that the vibe is still very much energetic year to year. I would probably say the theme has changed.
Energetic
Energy, yeah. So we call it the Super Bowl.
All over.
Yes, right. So we call it the Super Bowl of energy. And when people think about energy, sometimes people think it's just oil and gas. And the reality is it's not. Everything we do, our utilities, how we power things, everything is a component of energy, right? And so it's a lot of that involved and not necessarily just, hey, I'm fossil fuels and I'm going to go drill, right? So I think when people need to look at it, it's the combination of how that affects your life, your family's life, and how you do things. But
and there's interesting, you hear the terms used this week are the more inclusive around energy. Like the other day I attended a session on nuclear, right? That was cool.
Yeah.
You heard the CEO yesterday of Baker Hughes talking about the molecule, right? And the molecule being that all hydrocarbons, right, coming along. And then he was talking about actually the molecule continues because now it's the molecule of cooling, and it's all about moving molecules, which I thought was a good way to think about energy and that. You spend, everybody from Cognite here talks to customers, but you particularly, this is the first time we've seen each other since day one when we got our badges today, because you've been meeting with everyone, their grandmother, their friends, you name it. What are the themes coming out of your conversations that you're hearing?
I think it's pretty much across the board at CERA with every customer, right? And the overall conference. It's energy security, right? It's the advancement of technology, and it's government being able to keep at pace, right? And so if we talk about it, you asked the difference from now and 3 years ago. I would say, 3 years ago and last year, obviously geopolitical reasons, it was very much sustainability and ESG and that movement. And this year, that is still a part of the discussion. I mean, we're in the Agora Hall and, there's CCS conversations going on, right? But it's also in the inclusion of the artificial intelligence technology. And that's a huge difference. I mean, just how quickly AI has advanced. right? Across the board. I mean, I could tell you 3 years ago, if you went to people and they were talking about doing chat GPT, it was just a test. Yeah, get out of here. You know, I haven't decided my AI. And so my AI policies and everything. So now everything is definitely about AI, but it's also about governance around the security of AI. Right. And overall the security of where you want to go in the energy industry. So I think that's a big component that people tend to forget about. Right. We're still companies. We still, you know, have to have data governance and security and understand, because we impact, I think Trygve mentioned safety is the first and foremost. Yes. Right. We, you know, as an industry, our people are what matter. And so their safety is number one, and AI needs to be governed around that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if AI screws up my email, it's embarrassing.
Yep.
I have not done this, but I have gotten emails. I'm sure you have too. Have you gotten emails yet that says like insert date here?
Yeah.
And you're like, clearly you sent me a Gemini generated, but you can't do that in energy. You can't say, no. I want you to change this pressure, insert pressure here.
Yep.
That's disastrous, right? You can't put in something to the LLM and it comes back with a hallucination. That's not a thing, right? And so that's, Trigger was talking about this, but I'm curious your view as you talk about the safety and security there. What is the tolerance you're seeing in the energy industry in that because there is a play between speed and quality, right? Like I can absolutely give you an instantaneous answer with AI that has zero quality, right? It can just put things on the screen, versus, you know, we could almost perfectly guarantee to like the, you know, 0.00000000001, we could guarantee something if you gave enough time. What are you seeing the tolerance of allowing some of that speed to kick up? Or, you know, is it that you see the want, but there's not a tolerance because the answer, they're still looking for the answer?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. And it's honestly, a lot of it is at the center of what Cognite does in general, right? And if we talk about it, 3 years ago, like I said, last year, even a lot of people were still thinking that you could do a basic LLM in an industrial sector.
Yep.
And to your point, that's great if you messed up an email. I'm not, you know, well, depends on who you send the email to.
Yeah.
But you know, you're not probably going to hurt anybody on an email, right?
Except your own pride and career.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, you know, you're not on a
nobody's dying over
offshore platform, right? Yes. Running things. So that was the thing, is that everybody was kind of just building these very structured data LLMs that kind of sat in the back office for efficiency. But, you know, how do you make that impact into the operational and industrial world? And this is where I've seen the advancement just accelerate over the last 6 to 8 months in general. And this is where people are starting to realize that the data they pull from in their environment and industry does not compute with basic LLMs, because LLMs just read language, right? So one of the things that Cognite has built and has built from industry, right, with Aker BP example, is we basically can take that, you know, unstructured data and we can provide context and create relationships, right, with real-time series, et cetera, and especially with our partnership now for NVIDIA and the Tesseract model, in order to create the ability and a language that finally the LLMs can now read, right? And I think that people are now realizing that. Whereas before, they weren't being able to transfer AI into operations and operations safety and operations efficiency and value return. Now they can, because they recognize, wow, I do have really, you know, unstructured data. And that's a big component of this conference, I think. And people, at least in conversations we've had, people actually talking about that recognition finally.
So that's why I love talking with you, right? Because you boiled down, we've heard so many great things about the advancements of AI and LLM in this space, and Cognite, you know, we love talking about data, but I think you boiled it down perfectly that, you know, even someone like I can understand, right? It's that we all know LLMs were trained and built and work on words to start with. And at the end of the day, what's accelerating this all of a sudden is companies like Cognite being able to make the data into words.
Yeah, into words. And so, I mean, we're not, LLMs are there, right? I mean, they're wonderful things, but they have to be able to understand the language of that. And I think that is from C-suite to operational management, engineers, that is a big component that people have recognized very quickly in the past 8 months, at least from my conversations with them. And then I would also say, that's great, you figured that out, but then where do you go from an overall energy industry itself, right?
Okay.
And so two other things, right, is that, the reality is the technology's there, right? The CapEx is there, right? The capital's there for this infrastructure in order to get, transmission lines and pipelines, but our government is still really slow. And so I think a big difference in the government piece was the support of our energy secretary, right? Chris Wright. I mean, he's been here, at least the 2 days. He talked last night about LNG advancement. If you don't know, right, LNG 10 years ago was considered year zero. We had maybe one plant, right?
Yep.
Now we're at 9. I mean, we're one of the biggest LNG natural gas exporters right now in the world. So I think that's such an advancement and a commitment from our energy secretary, who comes from oil and gas, understands the challenges, but also recognizes that the government really needs to accelerate their processes and especially around permitting and things like that. Otherwise, we could potentially be left behind in the energy and AI world.
Yeah.
And funding, right? We all have lights on, right? We want our lights on. I mean, yes. I remember over the past 10 years, New York City going blackout for a long time. How do you support that structure? Texas, what was it, 3-4 years ago? We had a massive freeze, right?
Yep.
How do we get these power grids and utility companies functioning and on board?
Where they need to be to provide, again, that zero failure output.
And trust it, the governance, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to do a bit of a hard pivot, but I'm going to do this hard pivot because no offense to all my other guests, but this is the conversation I've been most excited about. For those who know me, know that these are the things that really drive me, right? So I would love to talk to you about creating a more inclusive space in the energy sector, especially for women. And we were chatting before the show, and it was very funny. Great content. So I won't perfectly name the session, but as I was preparing, there was a session, and essentially it was around the concept of how does the energy sector win the talent war, right? They said, they're struggling to get talent versus, NVIDIA and Google and all these big tech companies. And I joked that I think I knew automatically part of the problem because they were very great, wonderful gentlemen, but there was 3 middle-aged white men as the panel. That was it. And I was like, in the back, I have an idea. Back here, I have an idea. You've been and you've spent a lot of your career in energy. You've worked up to be an energy executive in this space. What got you into the energy sector to start with?
Oh, wow. There was no one big reason.
You wanted a paycheck. There was a job, and you said, "Let's do this."
Sadly enough, my accountant calls it the golden handcuffs. So
okay.
I'm not going to lie about that one. If I'm allowed to say that live stream,
yeah.
No,
I don't know how many people watch this.
well, we'll see. Could go viral.
Yeah.
Actually, so my degree is actually communications and broadcast journalism.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny.
Which is exactly like energy in that
exactly.
Not at all.
Or we're very curious people, right?
Yes.
So we asked a ton. I ended up having a great community. I started in Colorado, started with drilling rigs, and then kind of moved into drilling, completions, production. One of the things that really got me to come to the industry was the energy of it, right? It was a massive amount of technology I knew nothing about. It was something that, everybody was talking about fossil fuels and I wasn't educated on it, right? I mean, just how it works from a geopolitical standpoint, right? And, what amazed me the most that nobody really sees is the amount of care and technology that goes into emission, cleaning up, into making sure we're doing the best practices for the environment. And this was a conversation in my previous company, with the ESG and carbon capture and everything, it's just and hydrogen compressors coming into plants and what do we do here? And I'm like, this is the best way to recruit engineers, female or male, right? I mean, you are an engineer that is going to solve this problem, and the best way to do it is to go to the industry that provides money for that. Right. And I think that that's what people, a lot of times, if they're unfamiliar with what we do in the industry, we put the best minds, right? And a lot of them are female, and we put them on projects to help us advance these causes. And because I mean, billions of dollars goes into this from the companies. So I think that was one thing that had me stay in the industry. The second one, which is so close to my heart, is the people that you meet. I've worked all over the world, lived all over the world with the industry, and I love working with other cultures and there's so many smart and talented people out there. I love promoting in each of those areas, smart females to come up through the chain, really get the experience and see where they can go and accelerate in those companies. I think some of the best examples I had was working in Malaysia and Petronas, right? The amount of female executives that, were sent to conferences like this to speak is just, it was amazing. Awesome. Right. And really seeing that support. But I do think that you still need support, right?
As we saw in the panel. Yes.
You still need support. I mean, I sometimes like to say, and I have other colleagues, chutes and ladders, especially for females, right? And I say to my team, I'm your manager. I have no idea what you want to do. A lot of times we, see females don't want to communicate where they want to go. And so, you really need to own your career. And we say chutes and ladders because I had a great female mentor. She was brilliant she was a technical SME, absolutely brilliant, but she liked to say she is a football length deep of knowledge in one subject, or you can be a football length 1 inch deep in multiple subjects, right? And so I think you kind of have to figure that out in where your path goes. And then, if you want to be football length wide, that's great. That just means you have to kind of move verticals, and sometimes it's just a lateral and you learn more and you get more experience. I'm definitely a football length wide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am too, as we've seen I can't even get the audio to work half the time. I'm clearly.
But I will say, women are in the industry. I mean, even I'm looking around and there's so many amazing women. And, I'll just give this tidbit. I was at Starbucks on a call the other day, and of course, I'm looking at everybody's names on the tag, and I was like, I wonder, right? So I looked up this lady's name, and I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, you are so much smarter than me. Way smarter.
You're really cool. You're a badass, actually.
Yeah, her title was career-long diplomat, but now she's running Europe for a major IOC, international oil company. And so I was just like, wow, like assistant secretary, Hillary Clinton, and I'm like,
that's cool.
Nowhere near you.
Yeah. Well,
so that's the thing, right? There are some, I mean, there's amazing male and females and they're all here and just continue. And I really encourage young engineer females or environmental engineer females to come and look at this industry, because you not only get to see the world if you'd like, right, and see how countries, are operating and doing their things, but you're at the forefront of technology to fix our environmental problems and where we go with that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. So lots of studies show that folks thrive and find, that next level of being able to speak up for themselves when they see or can relate to someone in their industry who, often is higher on the org chart, that they see a similarity in a challenge they've had. So in that vein, of course, we want to protect the names of the guilty. But can you share with the audience a moment that you almost left the industry, where you were like, okay, and maybe you almost left? I think that would be really good to share, right? Because folks then could say, oh wait, I'm living that too right now. And maybe you can say how, share how you got past it, out of it, around it, through it. You did the Kool-Aid thing, you just busted right through it. Maybe if you could share with everyone something that stands out in your career history.
If I would take it from a a female perspective. So you know me. I have, and for all of those that I used to work with or know me very well, I have a ton of energy.
And it's not fake, friends. Linda will just go.
I have a ton.
So you busted through it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, no. Well, unfortunately, I do think there's a stigmatism with women if you have energy and I speak up a lot. And there's a stigmatism against women who, hey, well, she's speaking up, or that's perceived. I know it's to say no, but you're aggressive or your energy. I have had feedback on energy, 50-50. Some of it has been, well, I don't think you're focused, because you have, you're thinking 5 steps ahead, right? Or, you're great energy and that's awesome. So I've had it both good and bad, but I've never really seen a male counterpart who has just as much energy, traveling just as much as me, speaking up and giving their ideas ever get criticized for having energy. And that went on for some consistent period of time. And that ultimately made me start thinking maybe I just, one, look into myself, into the mirror, right? But it also put up a barrier to where it kind of stalled some of my soft skills education, right? And I really think that that's something that I reflect on over my last 20 years is really getting soft skills in this industry. And don't be afraid to speak up, but there are better ways of doing it. And maybe look at some of your counterparts and see how they speak and do that to people. And I think as we have younger generations coming into the industry, I think that's really important too. The only other reason why I did leave for a stint, but it was still industry, but like manufacturing and how life sciences manufacture and stuff was, I remember I was presenting to the CFO of a company and he asked me a question and I had no idea what he's talking about. And I was like,
happens to everyone.
I have to go figure this out and get this experience. And that's why I'm saying those chutes and ladders, right? Sometimes you just have to recognize I'm willing to take a jump to learn something new, to give my education. And it, catapulted my career as well. Right. But I want to say it's not just about being a female. I have had some amazing, absolutely amazing male mentors in my life. A lot of them are still really good friends of mine. And I wouldn't be here if they, didn't give me the opportunity to learn and use my energy. So for the 50 people, 50% of people who liked my energy gave me the opportunity to use that. And I think you have to, no matter what, find a mentor. Yeah. You have to.
And correct me if I misunderstood. Part of what I think I heard from you is advice to folks in the industry is if you get, and you're right, like there are tons of studies now that show these kind of things, right? That there is feedback provided that's not provided to men, in the exact same situation. As a leader, you have to change that, right? That's incumbent on leaders to get it together and solve it. But if that's happening, it's you have to try to see through it is what I heard from you, because there is a growth path for everyone. And obviously that is not useful feedback. And if you're not going to get useful feedback from your leader at that moment, you need to go find someone who can mentor, ally, speak up for you, who can provide you that actual useful feedback that actually helps you grow. Is that what I heard? Yeah,
very much. Right. I mean, it's kind of like in our sales pursuits, right? We talk about champions. You need multiple champions and we talk about, again, that horizontal experience is huge, because if you stay in one vertical, you have very limited champion ability to get to know you. And I think, people that don't work in your team, but do work with you in different functions, people that, work in your team, both below, peer, right. Make sure that you're talking to them and you're building rapport and relationships. And I always think, asking for 360 feedbacks are fantastic. I learned a lot about they're
also scary. Let's be honest. Like I've done it and I've been like, oh, okay. But they're scary to ask for, right? Because we always assume the worst, right? Like I don't know how you are. When I do a 360, I just assume that everyone hates me. like it's going to be 100% feedback. I hate you. It never is, right? But that's kind of like our mindsets,
exactly.
right?
I just, and coming back to bringing more females in the industry, I still say, right, there's so many brilliant females out there, in the industry, outside. You have fantastic talent to bring to help solve real world problems going on, right? Environment, infrastructure, geopolitical. It's just a fascinating industry to be a part of and get that experience and have impact.
So let me ask your view, right? So what's your personal view on, do we have a challenge in the industry of getting women into the industry, or is it getting women up the org chart, or is it yes?
Okay, that's a tricky one.
So the answer is yes. Okay.
So I'll answer the first one of getting women into the industry. I think it's women and men, people.
Just in
right?
general.
Just in general.
As you talked about earlier, right? Getting the right mindset.
Yeah, if we look at, some of the social accord that younger generations care about, climate change and things like that. I think Halliburton did a study, this was 8 years ago, and it was like, for like a millennial, you had 8 seconds to entertain them, to get them interested, right? 8 seconds. And so that's a huge shift. And you have to think that, okay, well, if that's 8 seconds, and now with scrolling and social media, it's probably 2-3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So what do they care about? And are we talking that, that's why I'm honing in on that message of, you are here to change the world, right? You just have to kind of come and want to be a part of it. And so I think that in the industry, I do think going up the industry for more female perspective is a bit difficult, right? There's always this, this stigma that, I want to be a mother too. And I think that's amazing, but there's some amazing women that have moved and had great supporting partners and have moved and run Angola, right, for ExxonMobil or something, and still was a mother and still was able to move up. I think I think that's more of a discussion on, where you see that strategic path, football wide or football deep, and, where you are with your partner, in that message for your family. So I think that's probably more of the struggle from a female perspective. I was very fortunate. My husband's an artist, and he wanted to move around the world as well. And, we were very supportive, and he came with me, and I was able to get my experience and shift. And he was very supportive when I wanted to change roles. Yeah. So, I know not everybody has that, but everybody has a support, function, and they can figure that out. Awesome. So I would say that's probably the moving up is a bit.
Okay.
Again, there's a lot of speakers that Chutes and Ladders isn't just me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to build more ladders. Right,
yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
And I think lastly is helping other females to get exposure to other opportunities within the same company to go up the ladder behind you.
Yeah.
And I think, again, multiple women speakers out there, and we all believe the same thing, right? We have some amazing women at Cognite, and wow, they're smarter than me. But, so how can we get them exposed, and where do they want to go? And I think that's the other question too, right? Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And not everybody wants to be you, right? So, you kind of have to decide that.
Yeah. Not create this, we can get trapped when we have these conversations. We can accidentally get trapped in creating like a one version, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is the version. And then we become exclusionary of all these people who have different ideas of what they want to do and where they want to go. And they don't see themselves in that because we created this like narrow version of what's ideal or what we're trying to build or whatever.
Yeah.
So time has flown, as I know it would. No, this is great. I knew it would on this conversation. I was so excited about it. Let's leave everyone with one of my favorite questions on this kind of topic, which is someone's watching this or someone's here at CERAWeek, and Monday, they want to do one thing that's doable, one thing that's impactful. What's the thing that a company or a person can do on Monday that is going to start making material difference in getting more and bringing up more women in the energy industry?
Oh boy. One thing that a company can do for women in the industry
on Monday. That's doable.
If you are any person in a leadership role, you need to look at succession management.
Okay.
And make sure that you have, in my mind, 2 or 3 candidates, male and female, right?
Yep.
At least one female, and see where they are proportionate into their career growth.
Yeah.
And start working out a plan with them, right? With HR or however that works. Competency levels, right? I mean, if you don't lay out what people need to do to hit that road, then they're never going to know what to do. They're just going to get mad because they didn't get it.
Yes.
Right. And so if you did anything to help anybody advancing, especially females, get a succession plan for every single manager, and, you know, from the shop floor to executive.
Yep.
Having a succession plan, and make sure that we're really discussing that, because that happens a lot. We may have succession plans, but we don't discuss it with the actual individuals. Right. So I think that's a big deal.
So build that succession plan. Communicate with folks. See, do they want to be part of that, or do they have a different thing they want to go do? And then provide actionable feedback.
Yep.
Going all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, just like, well, you have too much energy. First off, what? And second off, what do you want me to do with that?
Go run.
Yeah. So I like what you said, right? Have the plan, but also tell people where they're going. Understand, do they want to go? They're great. This is where we're going. Here's the plan to get there. And it's full of actionable growth feedback, not just.
And as a manager, don't be afraid to look at different functions for your success plan, because there's nothing better than a fresh set of eyes.
That's a good idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a learning experience for them, right? Especially if they want to grow in their career.
And you can ask your peers to take a look at that with you. Awesome. As is becoming the trend very quickly, ending, you travel all the time. It seems like all of us at Cognite travel all the time. What's your go-to move? Are you a sleeper? Do you read a book? Do you download Netflix? I always say we don't watch the IFEs because we travel enough that like we've seen them all. We know. So we know that. So what do you do?
So I buy the Wi-Fi and I turn my computer on.
Oh,
work.
No.
If I'm on a red eye, which I take a lot, I do watch the same things over and over over.
So you are watching the IFE?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I watch Dune and Tron. I'm a big sci-fi fan.
And is it you watch them because they put you to sleep, or
I just am fascinated. I'm still just totally fascinated in the stories. I watch it every single plane. Only if I'm on a red eye though, which means I have to go to sleep right after that. It's like my time to get through service.
That's your kind of calm the brain.
Yeah, but hey, United, please bring Tron Legacy back, because Tron's not been there.
Yeah,
but I'd really appreciate it.
Did you see the announcements yesterday? The United did?
No.
So they have a new transcontinental. They will have first class. Looks really nice. They have single row lay flat that's going transatlantic starting this summer.
Wow.
And then if you're like me and in the back with the family, they announced the couches where you can get the 3 tickets of economy.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
It folds out to a big bed.
That is so awesome. I did see that.
Air New Zealand did it way back in the day. United's bringing
that would
it to America.
Huge for people.
Yeah, I have 2 kids. I was like, yes, please.
That's awesome.
I mean, I'm a Delta princess, so like I have to.
Yeah, I know.
Figure it out. I'm in Boston. You know how it is. So I appreciate you coming on, Linda.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's let everybody get going. We're going to go back to CERAWeek. You have to get going. Van Jones is going to be here in a little bit, so like I'm going to watch Van Jones.
I actually am going to come back for that.
Yeah,
I
we got to see Van
he was
Jones
here.
now. So have a wonderful rest of the day, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 12 Central. Shift change here from CERAWeek, brought to you by Cognite.
Thanks so much.